everyone, I have Daniela here at my home to go through a yoga session. Now I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to yoga and I've only done a few sessions. Luckily I've been brought up to scratch a bit because Daniela has been taking care of me the last few weeks, and I thought that it would be really nice to film a little video together and going through some certain movements that maybe beginners can do at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be running you through a very quick flow this morning. One great for when you wake up and you just want to get the juices moving throughout the body and you're feeling a little bit stiff from a night's rest. And so this is a really great one for beginners. I'll try and keep it as slow and I guess as informative as possible as well. So thanks for having me, girl.
Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Me too.
All right, let's get on our mats. We'll start down in a seated position. And grabbing, so if you have either a pillow or a block or a set of books around, is really great just to have close by around the mat, because I'll be telling you how you can potentially use them in certain poses. So we're just going to come to a seated position just for some breath work to begin with. By placing the block underneath the bottom, it really allows you to open up the front of the hips. And particularly if you find you're someone that sits a bit more cramped, it just allows you to the knees to drop down a bit further than what the hips, the level that the hips are at. And we're simply going to take a moment to close down the eyes and really lengthen up through the spine, the crown of the head as if we're being pulled up. And just turning our attention to the breath just for a couple of moments. Really allowing that jaw to loosen up and allowing the shoulders to drop away from the ears. And paying attention to the length of the inhale versus the length of the exhale. And throughout the practice, I really encourage you to be breathing in and out through your nose, referred to as an Ujjayi breath. It's almost like a restriction at the back of the throat, and it really just aids with keeping the body in a calmer state, particularly during a little bit tougher postures. So we will start off with a couple of cleansing breaths, inhaling in through the nose, opening up the mouth and exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And on this last one, I really encourage you to stick out your tongue. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Nice, powerful one to start off the day. Coming through to a tabletop position. So ensuring that your hands are stacked directly underneath your shoulders and that your knees are stacked directly underneath your hips. We're going to move through a couple of cat-cows. So on the inhale, dropping the belly as we arch the back, guiding the chest through the arms. Exhale, we draw the ribcage, pushing up away from the ground for cat. Inhaling cow. And exhaling cat. Gently closing down the eyes and once again introducing that breath in and out through the nose, linking the breath up to the movement. And then maybe looking over to the left hip and over to the right hip, just getting in some side stretches. And then taking a moment of stillness, we're really ensuring that we're pushing up away from the ground. We're going to come onto the top of our feet as we push away from the ground and come into just a hovering table for a moment. So really pulling that core in, waking it up for the morning towards the spine. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping those knees, bringing those heels together as we open up the knees and come back into a child's pose. With this child's pose, I want you to keep the arms nice and active, so really clawing your fingers forward as you draw the sit bones back towards the heels. So you should feel a really nice stretch in the back body. And with every breath, guiding it into the space between the shoulder blades. Coming back through a tabletop position. Placing the hands directly underneath the shoulders and then walking them out, just one hand slightly out in front and then the other. Curling the toes under, we're going to peel our bottoms up into our first downward facing dog. We're not going to be here for long, so making sure that those fingers are nice and spread to take the load out the wrist, and looking down at your feet. Your feet should be about 2 fists apart, and you're looking good from that angle. Bending the knees will really allow you to lengthen the back. And pedaling out the feet. We bend the knees and we look towards the front of the mat, and then heel toe as much as you can, really engaging that psoas muscle. Coming into a forward fold. Bending those knees, clasping opposite elbows. And just allowing yourself to relax and allow the spine to decompress. And maybe basketing the hands and placing them just where the base of your neck meets your spine, not putting too much pressure on it, so really listening to your body as you hang there and allow your elbows to fall in towards one another. So you should feel a little bit more of a decompression in the upper spine. And then slowly bringing those hands back down to the mat. We place the right hand in the middle of the mat. As we gently start to lengthen, this is a really great time to have that block. Placing that right hand down, we gently start to lengthen the left leg out long, keeping a nice bend in that right knee. And left arm goes up towards the ceiling, and you can keep your gaze out in front of you, or you can look up towards your top fingers, giving them a bit of a twinkle. Good morning. Exhale, we swap hands. So bringing that left hand down to the center of the mat, bending that left knee, extending the right leg. And then exhale, we bring that hand back down to the mat, getting rid of that block, stacking one vertebrae at a time. So as slowly as you can, head to be the last thing that comes up. Stack up to a standing position. And then, good morning, allowing the shoulder blades to come back and around. At the top of your mat, really ensuring that you are pulling up and out of your pelvis. So nice, straight spine. And by placing your hand on your pelvis and one on your pubic bone and one on the sacrum, you can kind of figure out whether your head is stacked over your heart and your pelvis. And then inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, allow the fingers to float down behind you. And then clasping hands, we guide the fingers down the back body as we open up the front of the chest, and keeping the pelvis neutral, not allowing too much of a C curve in the spine. Maybe looking over to the left for a bit of a neck stretch. And then looking over to the right. Looking back through center. And then bending those knees as we allow the arms to come up overhead. Keep the back of the neck nice and long, drawing the belly away from the top of the thighs. And your arms might not be able to, head over as far as possible. If you do simply need to stay in the position that we were in earlier, feel free to do so. And then in a moment's time, we're going to release our hands back down to the mat, but we're not going to allow them to fling. So on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1, releasing the hands back down to the mat. You might feel a bit of a tingle. We inhale, halfway lift. So lengthening the back, the neck. We place the hands either on the shins or the top of the thighs. Exhale, we forward fold, flushing it out. Inhale, bending those knees, really pushing up away from the ground. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Placing the hands back down on the mat, we step the left foot back. We come into, which one have I got you? The left foot. I don't know which one my left foot is, right? Amazing. And we come into a low lunge, and this is a really great time to have those blocks in close proximity. We're just going to be stretching out the front of the hip and also the hamstring. So placing those blocks as Steph has, great, just below you, really allows you to sit up a little bit more in the chest. We want to keep the chest nice and broad and open. And really breathing in and out through that nose. And then exhale, we plant the hands down or on those blocks as we gently try to draw the right hip back towards the wall behind you, trying to keep our hips nice and square, pointing the toes on your right feet towards your face, so flexing the toes. And as you can see, Steph has the blocks there to really support her in keeping her back really beautiful and straight. It does provide a different stretch by having a bit more of a curve in the back. By lengthening out through the chest, you kind of get more into the back of the leg. On the exhale, rounding through, we get rid of those blocks, coming and curling the toes under. And then seesawing our way, we step up the mat and find ourselves in a forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bending those knees and pushing arms up overhead. Grabbing hold of the right wrist with the left hand. We head over to the left hand side of the body. And rotating the chest forward and back a little bit, kind of getting a sense of where it is that you need the stretch. And then coming back through center, we switch sides. So grabbing the left wrist with the right hand. Heading over. Inhaling back through center. Exhale, palms down through the space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, planting those hands back down, we step the right foot back. I've got that right this time. Once again, introducing those blocks if you need them, or the pillows, or the books, or cans even are a really great option if you have them in the house. So the aim of the game is to keep a nice 90-degree angle in that front leg. And the back is nice and long, and the chest is nice and open. And then on the exhale, we draw that left hip back towards the wall behind us, flexing those toes towards our face, adjusting those blocks as we need. Maybe twiggling the toes and saying, hey, thank you for allowing me to track this world.
I trap you.
I trap you. And then we head on through, placing the blocks by our side. Curl the toes under, bring that right knee up off the ground as we seesaw, heading back to the front of the mat. Perfect. We find ourselves in a forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, flushing it out. And then placing our hands down in the center of the mat, and move back a little bit. We walk our feet out to the outer edges of the mat. You've got the option of staying in froggy with your hands down on the mat. Otherwise, bringing your hands to a prayer position and placing your elbows on the inner edges of your knees. And the idea of a yogic squat is to ensure that there is buoyancy, so we're not sinking down, we're really remaining nice and open in the chest. You're going to be here for nice 3 long breaths. And then gently place your hands down behind you and come into a graceful seat. Placing your legs out in front of you and pointing your toes and then flexing them towards the face. Placing your hands down on the mat with your fingers facing forward. Sitting up nice and straight. And then inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, allow the hands to float down and really guide with the chest. So not curving in the top of the spine, really guiding with the chest, allowing your hands to rest wherever they fall. pointing those toes towards the face. And then exhale, coming back up. And then gently trying to scoot your bottom just ever so slightly forward. We're going to come into a lying position and then a figure four. So scooting your bottom forward, placing your hands out in front of you. We're going to allow ourselves to go back down to the mat one vertebrae at a time. So really drawing that belly in towards the spine, one vertebrae at a time, controlled. We come down and then moving into a figure four. So bringing the feet in close to the body, we place the right foot on top of the left knee. And the toe should be pointing towards the knee. And then we inhale, come up and thread our hands through the legs and grab hold of the back of the left leg. And so the left toe should be flexed towards the face, and there should be this almost energetic push and pull. So with the hands, we're pulling in towards the body, and with the legs, we're pushing away. So it really should help with opening up that right hip. How's that feeling for you?
Stretching.
Stretching.
My bum is stretching.
And then allow the foot to float back down, and we're just going to switch it over. So drawing that left foot to the top of the right knee, and then flexing the toes towards the knee. We head on up and grab hold of the back of the leg, and then allow ourselves to come back. So the aim is to try and keep the shoulder blades rooted down into the ground below you, and to keep your neck nice and long, and almost like you're pushing away from a wall with your right foot, and then pulling the leg in with your hands. Toes are nice and active on all feet. And then gently bring the right foot down. Hugging yourself, so bringing both knees in towards the body and rocking side to side. Allowing the left leg to go out long as we draw the right knee in towards the body. Grabbing hold of the outer right edge as we head into a supine twist. So the right hand is out in a T shape. And ideally we do want to try and keep that right shoulder blade down on the ground. And then inhaling back through center, giving yourself a nice big squeeze again. Maybe whispering something nice to yourself. Then allowing the right leg to go out long. Placing the hand on the outer part of the right and left knee as you guide it across the body. Oh, that was my back. And inhaling back through center. Once again, giving yourself a really nice, big, juicy squeeze as hard as you can. And then gently, one vertebrae at a time, coming into our final resting pose before we head off the mat. Shavasana. So in this pose, I really encourage you to take up as much space as you possibly can. Adjust the back of the head to really lengthen out the neck. Maybe even place one hand on the heart space and one on the belly. And just turning the attention back to the breath just for a couple of moments. Gently starting to wiggle the toes and the fingers. Coming back in towards the body. Gently making your way either to the left or the right side, your preferred side. Pushing yourself up into a seated position. Maybe just taking a moment here before we move off the mat to just recognize maybe a bit of space that you might have cultivated through this short and sweet practice by linking the breath to the movement and just giving yourself time and space on the mat. Like any practice, we bring our hands up to the space between the heart space, so bring the palms up to the heart space. And then bringing the thumbs up to the space between the eyes, the eyebrows. And we bow forward. Namaste.
Namaste.
There you go.
Thank you.
No worries.
I'm all stretched. I'm a goddess.
You are a goddess. Oh, Bambi, you didn't join us.
Bambi, come say hi. Come on.
I cannot believe how soft she is.
She's so soft.
This is Bambi, everyone. Oh, sorry, it's really bright. This is Bambi.
She's also a white mass as well.
Hello. Hello, Bambi. Star of the show.
So that wraps it up for today's session. Thank you so much, Daniela, for coming, taking me through it, helping me get my flexibility up, because I think it is really important to be able to move around more freely. And also in the work we do as models too, we need that extra flexibility for posing.
Yep.
And I think more of a range of movement. And it's also just fantastic in everyday life too.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Pleasure. Absolutely fine. And yeah, thanks for having me. And I do agree with the flexibility that you do kind of build with the practice, etc. It does kind of translate into our work, particularly trying to get into some postures and poses for modeling. So even if you're not a model, it's a great thing to consider and work with. So thanks for having me, Chica.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.